everybody. Welcome to the All-American Otaku Show. Today's episode is about how anime influenced pop culture. We did a similar episode when we talked about the rise of popularity anime to go to the point of how anime became so popular and how it's becoming more and more mainstream. This is the same follow-up concept, but more on the idea of anime influences in our pop culture outside of the anime influence or even otaku influence at that. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega is a professional wrestler in the WWE, one of the biggest or top companies in the world when it comes to pro wrestling. Zelina Vega started off as a manager in WWE and then slowly became a more of a professional wrestler. She's married to a professional wrestler that was in AEW as well as in WWE named Aleister Black or Malachi Black if you're more of into the AEW crowd. Zelina Vega has always been into very much into anime and anime pop culture, so much so that she was actually one of the presenters in the Anime Awards one year. Zelina Vega constantly shows up in various different anime attire. Like one time she dressed up as Madara in the Royal Rumble, showing up as Madara, showing up in and to wrestle. She's also known to color her hair halfway one color and half blue and halfway white to represent Shirogeki in My Hero Academia. She's also known to have a tattoo, Ringoku from Demon Slayer, on her leg. She's also dressed up as various other characters that were from anime, like Vega from Street Fighter, which is from a video game, then turned into an anime. She's also been in various other aspects of anime culture, as well as in grading her character and more in there. One of the biggest influence she had was when she did dress up as Madara for the Royal Rumble. And speaking of wrestlers, and the other wrestlers that shows how anime influenced pop culture was Dragon Ball Z, the characters from New Day, who are also professional wrestlers, starring Kofi Kingston, Biggie Langston, and Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods was also known as Apollo from TNA before going into WWE. Biggie Langston, I'm not sure what his wrestling career there. Then you have Kofi Kingston, who I think is a homegrown talent from WWE. Maybe he wrestled in the Independents before. They came out one year out of WrestleMania with this big box of booty holes and came out there with the Saiyan armor and this tail and had their hair spiked up just like various different characters from Dragon Ball Z. You could see that idea. People cheered. It's like, oh my God, that's from Dragon Ball Z into something that is not stereotypically known for anime or even Japanese culture in the US, which is WWE. It shows the idea of how pop culture has influenced and started breaking out into sports entertainment. To goes into the another aspect of one thing that brings anime into pop culture is McDonald's did a promotion a few years back where they had a special anime style sauce, which they had anime bags and anime themes on their food and various other aspects. That the idea that anime culture has gotten so big that it's a conglomerate such as McDonald's, which is a worldwide company that goes from, you could go to even Saudi Arabia or Middle East, and they still will have McDonald's. There's even a McDonald's in India, which that's why they brought the McRib, is because in India cows are sacred and they can't really have beef, so they brought in the McRibs to sell there. But they had one time this huge anime promotion that lasted several months. New sauce, new style nuggets, new wrapping, and everything to influence how great anime. They even had idea where you could watch a slightly anime they made for McDonald's that it's gotten so big that even McDonald's is looking at it to say, okay, it influenced us and we know there's a market, so we're going to have anime in this pop culture. Another aspect of how anime influenced pop culture, if you go to several years back, Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson had a video called Scream. This shows how anime, even in the 80s and 90s, was starting to influence pop culture when they are doing the space thing where I just got to scream. And they did a whole video where there was various different scenes with various different anime characters screaming from like Slayers, Akira, and various other animes like Project AKO. And the whole idea that they use anime idea, they shouting and screaming. They probably even had DBZ scenes there or Dragon Ball. This video became various influence there because it's one of the few videos that they had Michael Jackson and his sister Janet Jackson do a video together. This music video was well produced, well there, and it shows that Michael Jackson knew the idea of influence of anime and how popular anime was. That its idea to come up with the idea of all these characters screaming, all these characters shouting, which was a big thing in 90s and even 80s anime. Which they have various different scenes of these characters screaming and everything else, made a very elaborate and cultural video. This anime was really well done. Well, this music video was well done, and it shows the idea of how anime influenced pop culture even on this one. The next sign that anime has influenced pop culture was none other than The Simpsons. A Simpson is a culture phenomenon here. It's been going on since the 80s and maybe even early 80s with the Tracy Ullman show showing clips of The Simpsons and eventually spawned off to become a show. Has been going on since the 80s and still thousands and thousands of episodes. Treehouse of Horror has become a Halloween staple. They even had an opening where it was various different anime characters appear, like from Naruto, from Pokemon, and the like. They even had an episode of where the comic guy was going to marry a Japanese girl, and shows Homer trying to make friends with the father, and it was they made the whole scene seem like spirited away when they were drinking this Cobra wine. It was they had like the Necrobus and various other things. But that's not the only influence that anime had over something like The Simpsons and pop culture. Is there was a whole episode of the Treehouse of Horrors, which I formerly mentioned was a Halloween staple, where they just did the Death Note. Death Note's an anime that talks about if you sign your name in this book, the person dies. They added new rules for the Simpsons, like you have to come up with a unique version of death and everything else. So they did a whole Death Note episode on The Simpsons and they did it in the style of anime to show how popular and how major culture aspect anime has become and how much they anime influenced that pop culture to this point. Another show how anime influenced pop culture is if you go for a few years back, there was a South Park episode where they made an anime style song. Amazon Kikatsu, Bronze on Protect My Balls, where they had a South Park episode where they had scenes of various anime and they made the story seem more animeistic, where Butters was Commander Chaos or something of that aspect. And it shows how anime was very influential in this pop culture. And there was also another aspect of how anime has influenced pop culture as it goes to the debate of should anime be legal in the United States and if these people are trying to go there and that's because of what anime was trying to in, invoke into politics and various other things. But I'm not going to get more into that. Another aspect how anime was in the field of sports. There was a Detroit Lions player a few years back. I forget his name fully, but forgive me for that. He would go say, I am from the Swagkagi, from hidden Village of Hidden the Leaves. There was also influence. Anime was such an influence that when the Chargers LA Chargers at the time. I think it was 2023. They did a whole intro video of their schedule done in various different anime style themes, where it goes for each team was various different animes from like One Piece, from Naruto, from various mecha, from Code Geass, and various other aspects. That the anime was so influential that they decided to do a whole anime style reveal for their schedule. Was pretty done fairly well. They also did it the following year, which was more anime styles themed to show how anime has influenced pop culture. It got to me because I was thinking, wow, anime's gotten so integrated of pop culture that it's influenced American sports such as football. This is not the other time they showed in sports is when Japan had hosted the Olympics back in I think 2021, I think. Forgive me if I got it wrong. They decided to show various different sports and various aspects of anime and stuff where people are swimming, anime style gymnastics, and various other things, as well as the people, several characters in there were done in anime style, showing the idea and strength of how anime has influenced pop culture here in the States. That's just only one aspect of how anime has influenced pop culture into sports. You have various other athletes, such as John Cena, who's a big Fist of the North Star fan. You have Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Monet in AEW, once dressing up as Sailor Moon. Anime has become so ingrained into not only U.S. culture but even Japan. Even for the ambassador of Japan mascot was Goku at one point. And one person to gain citizenship in Japan was a fictional character in Astro Boy. So anime is slowly but surely draining into pop culture, into everyday lives. That if people are saying this is marketable, this is something that's going to stay, this is something that's still strong, this is how anime influenced pop culture. Thank you.
Welcome to the show where anime dreams come alive. Let's go! All-American Otaku Show, diving deep into the anime tide. From the screen to the page, we're turning every stage. All-American Otaku, where worlds collide. From the 90s till now, the passion's been real. Anime and manga, it's how we feel. Conventions and scenes, cooking up dreams. Japanese culture bursting at the seams. From the 90s till now, the passion's been real. Anime and manga, it's how we feel. Conventions and scenes, cooking up dreams. Japanese culture bursting at the seams. All-American Otaku, feel the vibe, diving deep into the anime tide. From the screen to the page, we're turning every stage. All-American Otaku, where worlds collide. And I'm there, and Mr. Pat by my side, exploring every genre, let's take that ride. From action to drama, it's all here. Community strong, let's make it